Hey, sixth grade, happy Monday morning. Welcome back. Let's jump right into pod, shall we? So, starting with your weekly reminders, let's get to the first part, what it means to be a hashtag future ready student. All right. Today's letter in Beavers is about accepting challenges and committing to growth. First, a little bit about accepting challenges. So, there's a picture of the learning pit right there that shows when you're on the edge over there, you're looking down, anything worth doing in life is going to take a little bit of risk. Okay, there's going to be a moment where you say, I've been on the sidelines. It's like jumping into a pool the first time or diving. You may be a little afraid, but if you want to do something, it's going to take some challenge, okay? And don't run away from challenge in life. You need those to make you stronger, help you learn. Also, commit to growth, all right? So, fixed mindset people, if they have a problem on the math test, they generally say, oh, I can't do this, I can't do fractions, I'm dumb, all these things. Growth mindset people say, I can't do this yet, because they know that their brain and those neural pathways are still growing, okay? So accept challenges. These are good. They're going to help me grow and achieve things, and never think that you're just static and done in life. You can always keep learning and keep growing, all right? Next thing, today is the start of your B electives, for most of you probably in first hour, right? And then your Flex 2 classes. So if you need help with that, see homeroom teacher once I finish this video. So, and if you're in the hallways, you're not sure where to go as sixth graders, I will help you out. But this is the day we're shifting here at midterms into some different electives and flexes. Finally, I had a visit from our grounds crew, our head groundskeeper here for the school district, and it wasn't a very pleasant visit. Kind of made me a little sad and upset. He said that since he's been here, this is the dirtiest it's been on the outside part of the school. If you haven't noticed, we just went through a pretty big renovation, got the school looking better, and when I say school, it really is ours, okay? So if you're somebody who, I'm done with something, I just throw it, you're putting some garbage outside, don't be that person, okay? And if you're somebody who sees that and it's not too gross, pick it up. This is our school, it really is, and so you're only really hurting yourself when you make it look like a big garbage dump, all right? So let's take care of this thing, please. From last week's lesson, so we know what habits are and paradigms, but then we talked a little bit about what your center is, your number one priority in life, okay? And we explored all these different things on the spokes around there. You even made some guesses about what that person's center might be. All good things around the edge, but if you don't have principles, not principles, which we also called values, if you remember, as the center, then you're going to have problems with other spokes of the wheel, all right? So don't make your friend, no matter how good a friend they are, or your parents, or even school, any of these things. Okay, those are important, and they need time and effort. But really, who you are and what you believe and what you stand for should be at your center. All right. Speaking of you, habits 1 through 4, really, well, 3. Excuse me, are all about you, okay? So we talk about winning the private victory first. So before we get to any other of the 7 habits, we have to focus on what you're doing internally on your own, all right? So we talk about winning the private victory. That's habits 1 through 3. The first concept to be aware of is the concept of a personal bank account. Really, it's about self-esteem, self-worth, self-image, and it's the starting point. Right? If you really don't like yourself, or you don't have a strong sense of confidence in who you are, you're going to struggle. Okay, so we hope that you're like that little kitty cat who sees strength when they look in the mirror and not nitpicking things of what they'd like to improve, all right? So today, if you have your agenda, we may have done some work on page 22 already, but if we have some space, go ahead and turn there. If you have scratch paper, that would be fine. We're going to talk a little bit about deposits and withdrawals. So this is Covey's metaphor for your own self-esteem or self-worth, and maybe you guys don't have a bank account yet, but you probably are familiar with the concept. Maybe you've had a piggy bank, all right? A deposit is when you put something into that piggy bank, and a withdrawal is when you take money out, all right? So what we're talking about here is things that now the bank account is you and your self-worth, and things that generally help you feel better versus things that are withdrawals that are take money out and bring down your personal bank account. And we want you to have a high personal bank account. That means that you're confident in yourself, and when you like yourself and you're confident in your abilities, doesn't mean that you're arrogant. That's different, but it's very important. You can't be having any successful habits without having one of these, all right? So when we do this, I'm going to tell you about, and really they're kind of, there's one version that's a deposit and one that's a withdrawal. So I'm going to tell you what they are, and then on the next slide I'll see what I want you to do on your paper. So you can write number 1 if you want, and we're talking about keeping promises. And you could probably write that real quick if you have a second. Keeping promises, all right? And for now, we're talking about keeping promises to yourself. When you make a commitment, when you say, I'm going to finish this homework by 10 o'clock today, okay? Or I have a bad habit and I want to break it, I want to be done. Or I'm going to start being nicer to that person. I'm going to have a better relationship with my parents. And you say, I got to do this, I'm keeping a commitment. Do you keep those or do you break them? Do you always have these nice little like New Year's resolutions? I'm going to do better. And then the next day, do you just break that promise? If you keep them, that's a strong deposit. If you break them, pretty big withdrawal. So what I want you to do is on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at this little self-habit that's going to help with your self-esteem? If you are a 10, that means that you are super committed to what you do. If you say, I'm going to go out for the basketball team, and I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna be a starter. Some of that's out of your control, but at least you went out for the team, right? So if you're somebody who, when you promise yourself something, I'm gonna talk to that boy that's new in my class, even if you may giggle as you do so. If you keep commitments to yourself, give yourself a 10. If you're not so sure, you might move down the slide a little bit. Okay, so for number 1, keeping promises or promises to yourself, whatever you want to write. There you can just put promises for sake of brevity. That means being short with your words. And then give yourself a score. Right now in your life, be honest, it's just a self-assessment. How are you for this particular aspect of the personal bank account? Next up, I think I have this dollar bill on there because in Covey's book he talks about little things. So if the bank account's low in this area, think of one small thing you could do. What's the commitment you could do right now? I'm going to get that F up by the end of the year, okay? I'm going to talk to that friend who I was a little mean to. So a dollar bill is like just one small thing you can do to put. Now, sometimes people think I got to make a $1,000 deposit. Let's just make a small one today if you're struggling. If you're lower than a 5 or so, make some type of commitment to yourself even for tomorrow. I'm going to wake up earlier. Keep it. You'll feel better, all right? Next up, you could just write acts of kindness or just kindness. Okay, for number 2, just to shorten it up. Number 2, kindness. So people with a high PBA, personal bank account, like that acronym, they are always doing small acts of kindness. They see somebody, they open the door for them. Okay, they notice that a friend has some new hairstyling, perhaps, some color or something. They say that it looks good. Maybe they do something kind for their teacher. So this is, and you think, well, they're doing something for somebody else. How does this make me feel better? If you've ever done it, you certainly do feel better, all right? I know that this habit, I could do more, but you always feel better when you do it. People who are going to have withdrawals in this area keep to themselves. And they're just in their own little world. They don't see the chance to say those kind words to somebody or picking up something when somebody drops it, all right? So, number 2, kindness. Are you good at this? Do you feel like you're always finding opportunities to do things for others and stop thinking about yourself, which will help the personal bank account? You're like, I don't need to help others. What's the point of kindness? I'm in my own little world. You'd be on the lower end. Don't forget, if you struggle with this one, do something nice today. Up your please and thank yous in the cafeteria, something like that. And again, how does this help personal bank account? Trust me, it will. Okay? When you stop thinking about yourself and do something for somebody else, even if it's really small, you will feel better. That's my promise for you today. Number 3, let's just put mistakes, all right? Number 3, mistakes. And we don't have that many of them. I can't remember the exact number. So when you make a mistake, like Homer Simpson often does, do you be gentle with yourself and not make excuses to people? Oh, it wasn't my fault. But yeah, be gentle with yourself and saying that's understandable. Okay, I didn't know fractions super well when picking on math. I wasn't quite prepared for that test, or it's the very first time that I went out for a sports team. If I didn't make it, kind of makes sense. I really hadn't done it before. All right. Or the people who make withdrawals, is one little mistake. They just dwell on it forever. I can't believe I did that. I'm so stupid. And I know people like that. That one thing can really derail them from what they're trying to do. Hope that's not you. All right. So number 3, what is your rating? If you're somebody that bounces back from mistakes really fast, and I think of the people I coached, I had people that, yeah, no one's perfect, but they jump right back in and go, versus the people that I had to say, hey, it's okay, stop beating yourself up, live to fight another day, right? Let's go after the next play. So where do you feel like you are on that spectrum in terms of how you are after you make a mistake, okay, or there's a problem or a failure of some kind? Dollar bill, I don't know what else to tell you. Next time something doesn't go super well, yeah, you don't have to make excuses, but just take it easy on yourself, okay? It doesn't mean you're a terrible person. Building trust. How are your truth-telling skills? And another thing that we're working on with my daughter. She's doing all right, but do you, even to yourself, tell lies? Or are you honest? Now remember, this isn't necessarily to other people, okay? If you are honest with yourself, you maybe accept blame. You don't shift it to others. If you say like, yeah, I'll quit that. Maybe you want to quit pop like I want to someday. I'll quit that next week. If you're really not going to do it, be honest, all right? So are you honest with yourself? And like I said, not necessarily with other people, but just are you honest with yourself? And same sort of thing. Make it a little dollar deposit if you can in terms of being honest. I think that there's one or two left. So this one's about self-care. So those are still things that happen with other people, a lot of them, okay? But this is kind of just you and your deposits and withdrawals. And it's thinking about when you get busy. Okay? Are you somebody that when you get busy, you just kind of burn yourself out, meaning you don't eat well, it's all talkies and pop all the time, you don't exercise, you just sit around, mope a little bit, play video games, or maybe you're just running around helping other people? Or do you take time to take care of yourself, really slow things down, renew, okay? Thinking of renew just makes us feel better. Think of spring, right? You take time to say, you know what, I got practice, I got homework, I got to do all these things and they're important, but I need 5 minutes of me time, whether that's going for a walk or listening to some music, whatever it is. To have a strong, positive personal bank account, you got to have some self-care in terms of your habits, all right? So how are you at renewing yourself? When you're busy, do you just burn yourself out? Bad eating, no exercise, stress, or do you take care of yourself and get back to what's your personal best? And if you're struggling with that and you are stressed, hey, I got new classes, it's middle school, there's COVID, there's all this stuff going on. Only you know what's really nice for your self-renewal. Find time, make it happen to take care of yourself, all right? That's a little $1 deposit for you. Can't remember if there's one more or not. I think this is a good one to go over. You should have some of this information with your teachers, and I wish we had time for a more detailed conversation, but these are what zone you are in, okay? And this is kind of your mood almost, okay? And I think all the teachers have some form of this poster around. So, and you learned about it last year because we all learned about it in some assemblies and things. So blue is, and I'm not the expert, but blue is just kind of lethargic. You need some rest. Green means you're ready to go. Okay? Yellow means you have, you're about to flip your lid. You're like here, if you remember our brain science. Then there's some warning signs. And then red is we're in the red zone, we flip our lid. So being aware of your moods and things that are going on can help you in terms of your own success. All right, so I kind of forgot this slide was in here. I'm not going to lie, I'll be honest with you. But if you want a more detailed conversation, your teachers have all learned, and they're probably better suited to have those than me maybe right now. So from there, this is definitely the last one. What you do with your talents, and whether you know this or not, you have been given all these things that you're good at, okay? And you might be thinking, other people have talents, but I don't. No, you do, okay, in some form. And they may not be the ones that you wish or super popular, or you see your friends and hopefully you don't envy them, but maybe you do. But you've got something, all right? I think of, and this could be you, maybe it's not a socially acceptable one. When I was younger, and I think I've talked a little bit about this with you guys, at a certain point, kind of in middle school, I thought that I had to be a certain person based on athletics and being a jock and whatever that meant. But I knew I had some talent like in writing and music, not great, but some. And they stayed buried for a long time until eventually I brought them out and magnified them. Means to make bigger, right? That you explore those, you express your talents, you use them essentially. Okay, so when you have something, even if it's not popular that you're good at, and you think, oh, maybe my friends will make fun of you, are you using your talents, okay? If you're recognizing them and really, again, not being arrogant, but saying, yeah, I'm pretty good at this. I should use that talent, okay? Whatever it might be, please use them. And how you doing with that one? Think about your scale, okay? Magnify talents, give yourself a scale, and a score, excuse me. Make a $1 deposit today if you can. I used to do this a lot when I was younger. Write poetry, whatever it is, and if it's been a while, do it again. Maybe even show your poems to somebody, even though that can be scary for sure. All right? This is on this format a little hard to see. I apologize, but it just shows that if you're like, I don't even know what Schaefer was talking about with that personal bank account stuff. So if your balance is high on this thing, then you would be over here. and you stand up for yourself and your beliefs, you have a pretty general positive experience with life, you don't care too much about being popular, you're just yourself, you're goal driven, you are happy for the success of others. Symptoms of a low PBA on this side are pretty rough. You don't want those. Get jealous of other people. You act arrogant to hide your insecurities. A lot of arrogant people I know are really just covering for something because they kind of are not super confident on the inside. All right? Very concerned about what others think of you. Oh my gosh, what will people think if I do this? You cave to peer pressure easily. Hey, I know that this is the kind of person that I want my children to be, okay, over there in terms of having a high personal bank account. So, to wrap this thing up today, our quote to end on and think on, it's the work you do when no one is looking that counts the most when everyone is looking. Middle school is a weird time where you feel like maybe even just teenage years that everybody's watching you. But I think of, again, sports analogies of like, yeah, people think the game is the time that's most important, but what the work you put in behind the scenes, all right? And behind the scenes is making sure that your personal bank account is strong. You're going to struggle on everything else if you don't have lots of deposits you can put in there. So think of those deposits you can put in, acts of kindness, we'll review those. Magnifying your talents. What else are we talking about? Renewing yourself, being honest with yourself. Okay, please do something today. Challenging you, 6th grade. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Well, I'm actually talking to my iPad right now, but through the iPad and the technology, you know what I'm saying. I'm talking to you. Do something for a $1 deposit today, please, because that'll help you achieve your goals if you have a high personal bank account. Thanks for listening. Remember, new classes today. Ask your homeroom teacher for help if you need it. See you guys later.